Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of The Nerd's Opinion. I'm Cody Cyberpunk, and I want to talk about Sonic Adventure 3. We've all seen, Sonic the Hedgehog 2, the movie, and seeing as Sonic is my probably second favorite video game franchise of all time, despite how awful it is, like 50% of the time, it is right up there with Resident Evil. And remember that I brought up Resident Evil because we're going to loop back to that, like the loops in the Green Hill Zone, a little bit later. But even though my favorite video game series is Resident Evil, my all-time favorite video game ever made, bar none, is Sonic Adventure. And we've been wanting, as Sonic fans, Sonic Adventure 3, pretty much since Sonic Adventure 2 came out, which, was, I don't know, maybe I'm dating myself here, but I played that on the Dreamcast, and the first one, I've probably beaten the very first Sonic Adventure game more than any other game in my life except maybe Resident Evil 4. So I figured I would just talk about the wish list that I have for Sonic Adventure 3, were it to ever happen, what I think it should be about, who I think should be in it. It's going to be just kind of an unscripted rant video about, hopefully if folks agreeing with me, because let's be honest, it feels good when people agree with me. I don't get that a lot in my life. I'm about to be married. Jokes aside, so first things first, let's talk about what it means to be a Sonic Adventure game as a whole. And for me, especially how it compares to modern Sonic, because if they made Sonic Adventure 3 nowadays but based it off the modern Sonic formula, that wouldn't work. It wouldn't be an adventure game just because it says Sonic Adventure in the title. But for comparison's sake, think about modern Sonic games with the boost method and how the levels are kind of closed in, they're kind of boxed in, running on a straight track, and there's not a lot of range of motion. It's more about reaction time, how fast you can jump, slide onto things, attack enemies, or boost right through them. That was not the case with the original Sonic Adventure games. They were very wide open levels, regardless of the character you chose, to really accentuate exploration. Like you're on, fucking get this, an adventure. And I want to mainly focus on the original Sonic Adventure, not Sonic Adventure 2, because if they were to make a Sonic Adventure 3, there's something that 1 has that 2 doesn't, that I think is got to be at the core. So with that being said, let's define a Sonic Adventure game. A Sonic Adventure game is a game that, first and foremost, has an opening sequence with a banger track from Crush 40. I know Crush 40's done a lot of Sonic stuff, but they were introduced to the adventure, and nowadays with, like Unleashed, didn't use, Crush 40. Fist Bump wasn't done by Crush 40. If there's gonna be an opening cinematic, which there has to be, then it has to be done by Crush 40. Now there's gonna be a multitude of musicians working in this game, but that's part 1 of what it takes to be a Sonic Adventure game. Part 2. And this is in no particular order, by the way. I'm not saying like this, this is the order. Chow Garden. Chow Gardens were, as stated by one of the producers or directors, I believe, exclusive to the Adventure series. Oh, but Cody, the Game Boy games had Chow Gardens. Yes, I know some of the Game Boy games had Chow Gardens. They were different. They weren't the same. It's the Chow Garden format that were in Adventure 1 and Adventure 2 they are Adventure exclusives. So, Sonic Adventure 3 would also have to have that. Number 3, sorry, like I was mentioning earlier, the level design. The level design has to, accentuate the idea of exploration. It's got to be very wide and open. Very much, not open world, but wide and open. Not a, little track that you're just dodging across. If you're up on a mountain, you should be able to completely run around that mountain, maybe homing attack to other via enemies to other mountaintops, to running down a ramp that if you wanted to stop while you're running down it, you could just run back up and down and have free range of motion. It's got to have multiple characters with an overarching story that encapsulates all those characters. And with those, I think that really covers it. There's not a lot you've got to do for a game to be a good successor, if not a great successor, to the original adventure games. So I want to start by talking about the story, or actually before the story, we need to narrow down the characters. So each game had 6 playable characters. In the original Sonic Adventure, you had Sonic, Knuckles, Tails, Amy, Gamma, E101 Omega, Gamma, and Big the Cat. And of course, Super Sonic there at the end. And then in Sonic Adventure 2, you had, once again, Sonic, Knuckles, Tails. Amy was in it, but she wasn't playable. Shadow, Rouge, newcomer at the time, so was Shadow, and Eggman playable, which was awesome. So, boom, 6 characters each. But that was Dreamcast hardware, so I think that in this iteration, we can actually amp it up a bit. I know that sometimes less is more, or that adding more characters does not mean good product. Looking at you, Spider-Man 3. But I think that we can actually, there's a reason we can do this, and that's use 8 characters. Because since the Adventure days, a lot of new characters have been added to Sonic, and some of them either were well received, even though the game was bad, that haven't really gotten a second chance, or just it's time for other characters to shine. So, of the original model, as much as I love Big the Cat as a character, his gameplay is fucking stupid. So no Big the Cat, and no E-Series robots. I love the E-Series of Gamma and Omega. In fact, even Alpha was a really cool story progression for Gamma. But the first 4 characters are going to be Sonic, Knuckles, Tails, and Amy. Those are the big 4 heroes. You have to have them. I'm also a diehard Amy fan. I don't care what any of you guys say. Amy is not Ashley from Resident Evil. She can do things. Now, all this aside, we have got our first 4 characters. And then I would like to add Shadow the Hedgehog, because he obviously played a large part in Sonic Adventure 2, being one of the stars, and his character has been very inconsistent. In Heroes, whether you want to love or hate on Heroes, he was a natural progression for the character of Shadow the Hedgehog. Then in his own game, Shadow the Hedgehog, which is infamous at this fucking point, his character, that's when he actually became the Edgehog, the Edgelord that everyone hates. That's not true to Shadow's character, but this isn't a character analysis. I can cover that another time. But anyway, we would want Shadow the Hedgehog in this as well. Oh, quick side note, in Sonic 06, as fucking awful as that game was, on a technical level, he was written brilliantly. He was written like a natural follow-up from what he was in Sonic Heroes. Anyway, so yes, Shadow the Hedgehog as character number 5. And as character number 6, I'm hesitant to say this, but Silver. Silver is a character that could have had a lot of potential, but again, he suffers from the game he was introduced in. And that is just unfortunate, because there could be a lot of really interesting things to do with him, and hopefully a game like this that reintroduces him would make him more well-received by the Sonic fan base. Not that he isn't well-received, but he had a rough go of it in the beginning, and even with the most recent Sonic Forces, which also sucked. God, how long has it been since we've had a good Sonic game that wasn't Mania? Anyway, he didn't have a lot to do. He was there, and there was nothing wrong with when he was there, but he wasn't given a lot to do. So I want to take Silver as character 6, make him an integral part of the story. And here's going to be the one I think is the first weird one. Another female character, and it's Blaze the... No, it's fucking not. I love Blaze, but Cream and Cheese. And when I get to the gameplay ideas later, I'll explain why, but it would be a very unique idea to put a character like Cream, and I'm just going to say Cream and Cheese, I mean, we all have cheeses as well, in an adventure-style game. And I'll, not only want to talk about gameplay, we'll explain that further when I talk about the story as well. So, just know that that's character number 7. And character number 8, this is going to, rub some folks the wrong way, but I would like to bring a character from the comics in that has never been in a game before, and say Scourge. Now, if you don't know Scourge, imagine green evil Sonic. I mean, when people talk about, Shadow and Sonic, the antithesis of one another, no. Scourge is an alternate, more or less like an alternate form of Sonic, an alternate version of Sonic, the yin to his yang. And he would be the only villain character playable. I do say villain because that's absolutely what he would be. So those are the 8 playable characters. Also, I was going to say we've never been able to play as a villain before. That's not true. Gamma starts off as kind of a villain, and we had Eggman in Sonic Adventure 2. But we've never gotten a villain character like... that's not either, tragic or comedic. We've never gotten a villain character that's been a threat. And Scourge will absolutely be a threat. He will not necessarily be the main threat of this game, but that's why we can go ahead and segue into the story. Now, I don't have like a script or any sort of hard, concrete idea for what to do as a story, but I have concepts. And concept number 1 is, of course, having Scourge in it. Concept number 2 is it has to be kind of an end of the, I don't want to say end of the world, but a world-threatening event. And that's because that's the theme that the original adventure games had. When you think of Sonic Adventure, it's going, you've got chaos, this water god, this god destruction. Eggman is wanting to use an aquatic god of destruction to level a fucking city, and like rebuild it in his own image, like dictator level shit. Is Eggman still kind of goofy and whatnot? Absolutely, but he's a goofy threat, and that carries over into Sonic Adventure 2. In Sonic Adventure 2, motherfucker blows up the moon just to say, look at what I can do. Like, he is Stuart from Mad TV levels of insane in that moment. Look what I can do, moon. Like, yeah, blows up half the fucking moon. Which never gets resolved, by the way. It's a full moon in all the other subsequent games. Whatever, Sonic continuity be damned. Anyway, so we need an end of the world, or at least a world-threatening style event for the Sonic cast to take on. So, with that in mind, my concept for an antagonist in the story would be something completely original. We're not going to use, and I'm talking about for the big bad, for the end boss, would be something completely original. Because I don't want to use Eggman. Eggman wasn't the final boss in the original, Perfect Chaos was. He wasn't the final boss in Sonic Adventure 2, the Bio Lizard was. And while Scourge is going to be in this and be an integral part of the story, I don't want him to be the final boss either. Although I could hypothetically bend the rules on that, because even though he is an established character in the comics, he's never been in the games before. So, a lot of the times, these more recent Sonic games have done all original villains for the finale. You had Dark Gaia, even I guess the Time Eater wasn't really the final villain, but that was an original villain in Sonic Generations. There was another good example. Mephiles in Sonic 06, which again, awful game, but I don't entirely hate the story or what it was going for. I've got some issues with it, but it all in all, frankly, is better than a lot of what we've got recently in terms of having stakes and there being gravitas to the story. So that's the route I think we should go for a final villain. Something all original, or possibly Scourge, but the reason I say not Scourge is because since he'll be a playable character, I have different ideas of how to use him. So with that in mind, the story should progress similarly to Adventure in terms of you start off as Sonic. Sonic is the only playable character. And as you get further into the story, you meet other characters, allowing them to be unlockable, and they will all have their own stories going on at the same time as the main Sonic story. Sometimes Sonic and Tails are together, sometimes they're not. They'll get broke up, split apart. Sometimes even we could have Sonic and Shadow or Sonic and Amy. Like again, we had Sonic and Amy doing stuff together in Adventure. The idea of all of them being together for an overarching story, but not always being present with one another, is something that all the adventure games, all of them, both of them, have done right, and that's something that should continue. There should also be a progression in the similar style of the original Adventure, not Adventure 2. And what I mean by that is in the original Adventure, we had the adventure fields, the large open hub areas that led to the different stages. And sometimes it took a bit of ingenuity, at least for 6-year-old me playing, to figure out how to get to the next level. You had to find certain keys and put them in certain, pedestals. You had to find a power-up out in the wild and use that power-up in a different area of the adventure field to unlock, the casino doors, like for Casinopolis. There was, some parts of the map were blocked off, because an avalanche hadn't happened yet to open a hole in the wall to go through. So there was this emphasis on exploration in a hub world to get to the next levels. And I think that should come back. Adventure 2's levels are fine. They're great. Some of them are even better than Adventure levels. But just picking level to level on a static map didn't have near the adventure feel as actually traversing open hub worlds to find your next location. So, start with Sonic. and probably do 1 or 2 levels with him, and then introduce, I would say for nostalgia's sake, go Tails second. I mean, Tails and Sonic are the best of friends. They're the ones you expect to be together. And that's, from there, you just keep meeting additional characters, with Scourge being the final one you meet, because he is, unlike the others who are all good guys, or at least anti-heroes will be doing something to further the greater good, when you play through his story, it will be actively working against Sonic. And if we play the story the way I want it to be done, actively working against Eggman as well, he is very much going to be doing his own thing. But it's going to be an evil thing. I don't quite know what that evil thing is going to be yet, but it would be very interesting to have kind of this 3-way good guys, Eggman and robots, Scourge, power struggle going on. So from there, we're going to have gameplay style. Now, obviously, so the Sonic Adventure games nailed Sonic's gameplay style. I genuinely do not believe we have had better Sonic-based speed and platforming gameplay with precision, but also exploration and the ability to take advantage of level design since the Sonic Adventure games. They were intentionally built to be ripe for exploitation, which is not something we've had since then. So don't fix what isn't broken. Obviously, update how slippery it is, the tightness of the controls, the sensitivity. Yeah, update it to modern standards, but don't completely change it. It worked in '99. It honestly still works today. Sonic's controls, I don't know when the last time you played Adventure was, but Sonic's controls absolutely hold up. Now, Tails, I don't want it to be races like in the original. You know, he would always race Eggman or race Sonic instead of race. I don't want it to be races like Tails hates some insert ethnic group here. He hates Chows. No. Tails would always race Sonic to the goal, or he would race Eggman to the missile, or whatever. And I don't want that, but I also don't want him in a mech, at least not all the time, because the iconic thing about Tails is his 2 tails. You want to be able to fly around. His levels should be very open towards, getting to an end goal in areas that Sonic would not naturally be able to reach, or should at least be structured around him flying, not just a retread of Sonic's levels, but with extra flight capabilities. So he should play similarly to Sonic, but with the level, the level detail very much crafted towards his flight abilities. Knuckles so far is going to see the biggest change from the previous adventure games. And notice when I said what makes an adventure game earlier, I didn't say emerald hunting, and that's because that's not what Knuckles is going to do. Sort of. One thing that the most recent Sonic games have forgotten is that Knuckles has a duty. And his duty is to protect the Master Emerald. That is his goal. He lives his life alone on Angel Island because that is his purpose. And he takes it fucking seriously. If the Master Emerald in Sonic Adventure 2 was not in danger, he wouldn't have been part of that story. He's only embarking on that adventure because of what Eggman did, which, granted, played out way too similar as the original adventure, but regardless, that's why he's there. And we need to get back to that. Knuckles had a particular duty, he was written a certain way, and that was an aspect of his character that Sega's just done that with. And I'm not a fan of that. But the gameplay and reason for him traveling will be different. When we think of Knuckles, I don't know about you, but in Adventure, I've never really used his punch and kick. It was more difficult than just jumping into the enemy like Sonic or Tails would do. So while he had them, I was just like, if I'm going to jump into him, whatever. I think that we need to give Knuckles a gameplay style similar to like Devil May Cry or something. A hack and slash based on combos. Obviously, it's not going to be near as deep and complex. Devil May Cry's entire game is based around that sort of gameplay. But that type of play, hack and slash, keep building up combos, and the way his levels would be designed is that maybe there's Master Emerald either A can get shattered, but he's not looking for the gems by digging in the ground. He will have a boss at the end of every level, similar to what Gamma did, and he will have to fight so and so. Insert boss here. Maybe people working with Scourge. Maybe Scourge wants the Master Emerald for whatever reason, and he will be fighting people at the end of each level who have a gem for the Master Emerald. And to collect the shards that way. And he would just have to work his way through the levels, battling enemies until he can get to that final boss at the end of each level. The other option for Knuckles is that he's not finding pieces of the Master Emerald. There's a reason he has to leave the Master Emerald. Perhaps there is, he gets wind that Scourge is looking for amulets or devices or whatnot that are sapping away the Master Emerald's power, or that have the capability of corrupting the Master Emerald, and he's got to fight through these levels to beat the bosses that hold these keys or these gems or these talismans, whatever. That way he can keep these artifacts away out of the hands of Scourge, Robotnik, all these other people that could potentially do harm to the Master Emerald with their existence. So it keeps that treasure hunting concept. Knuckles is trying to get something physical, whether it be a piece of the Master Emerald or something that could harm the Master Emerald, but you're not just going to be randomly fighting dudes while an Emerald radar is going off and digging for shards. We've done that twice. 3 times would be overkill. What are the odds that Knuckles has to gym hunt in every adventure game? That's not good storytelling, in my opinion, or good gameplay. I mean, I love the gameplay in Sonic Adventure. It was kind of nerfed in Sonic Adventure 2, but we don't need it a third time. We can find a way to alter it to fit modern day standards. Amy is going to be very different. There needs to be a way to utilize her hammer. I mean, her signature thing is the Pico Pico hammer, and we need a way to make the entire level revolve around the fact that that is an Amy thing. Now, you could have this be puzzle-based levels where she has to use her hammer to maybe knock blocks in certain order to create pathways, or for exploration, and obviously fight enemies along the way with said hammer. But I think that the puzzle route is the way to go. It also shows that Amy's not dumb. Like she's never really been portrayed as dumb, but she's obviously not a genius like Robotnik or Tails. So it would be nice just to see her solving puzzles and being like, yeah, girl power, look what I can do. Like, I don't fucking need Sonic, I can do shit on my own. Which she kind of did in Adventure, but her whole story mode is only 3 levels long. Which brings me to another point. Not everyone will have the same length of story, just like in Sonic Adventure 1, because if you want to make, everyone needs 14 levels, well, maybe not everyone's story needs 14 levels. You write the story and the amount of levels equivalent to what is a good arc for that character. Tails only got 6 levels, but his arc of coming into his own as a man, but he's 8, coming into his own as someone who does not need to rely on Sonic was succinctly and brilliantly told in those 8 levels. Or 6 levels, sorry. As opposed to Sonic's 10. Knuckles, I think, only had 5 levels, but again, his story was told. So we need to keep that. Don't pad stories for padding story purposes. Anyway, back to characters. So number 5, Shadow. Shadow would be like Sonic, but far more difficult. Shadow's whole thing, I mean, if you remember Sonic Heroes, Team Dark was just a more difficult version of Team Sonic. And I think we should keep that same mentality, but also maybe give Shadow not the same abilities as Sonic. He should be able to throw Chaos Spears. There's probably a way that you could utilize Chaos Control, and not make it overpowered. Heroes did that relatively well, so it's possible. But much more difficult, more enemies, same real fast speed, maybe more spike traps, you got better reaction time, and focus on doing more than just homing attack. I mean, he'll have the homing attack, it's fucking Shadow the Hedgehog, but he will also have other ways that he can fight enemies and harder levels. So now Silver absolutely will be a puzzle-solving character, which he won't have the same sort of puzzles as Amy. Hers are going to be built around her Pico Pico hammer. But Silver can do telekinesis. So imagine having to open routes using, telekinesis. He's going to have to move mountains here. He'll have to, pick up boxes and stack certain things. Think of his gameplay almost like, I don't want to say dungeons from The Legend of Zelda, because that's not, they would still be linear progressive levels, but think of the type of puzzles as stuff similar to shrines in Breath of the Wild. Not every level is going to be the same, and sometimes there's multiple answers to each level. You could levitate this here, or and jump up that way, or maybe you could destroy this enemy, which opens a door, which lets you find another item that you could levitate to a different area to get around the level faster. There's a lot of unique ideas that you could just focus entire levels around the idea of telekinesis and moving objects. And he will, that's Silver. There's really no other way to put it. And then when you get to Cream and Cheese, she will be puzzle solving as well, but more in another unique and interesting way. I know I talk about puzzle solving a lot. Resident Evil fan, I love puzzles, what can I tell you? But I think that for non-speed characters, that is the way to go. So she is the only one that has a partner. Unlike Sonic and Tails, who get separated and can work on their own, Cream and Cheese are a package deal. It's a cute little rabbit girl with little floating chow buddy. and they would need to be able to work together. Maybe there's areas she can't reach, so you'll take control of Cheese, and he'll fly up and drop a ladder or something. She could send Cheese the Chow to attack at a distance. There's a lot of unique things that you can do just by having that kind of partner system. And it's been done in other games. Off the top of my head, I can't fucking think of any for whatever reason, but it can be done. You could even have some sections that are so Cheese centric they could be kind of like in Ratchet and Clank, when Ratchet gets, is like, hey, I can't go through here, and you take control of Clank and like do a good like 30-40% of the level as Clank just to open a door for Cream for Ratchet so he can get back to you. You could do that with Cream and Cheese. There's nothing wrong with taking inspirations from other games that have stood the test of time and haven't had such a rocky last many years. Don't copy them directly, but take inspiration from what worked and adapt it to a Sonic formula, a Sonic method. And Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, Cream, Amy, Shadow, Silver. Yeah, Scourge is the only one that's left, and Scourge will be he'll play like Sonic and Shadow, very speed centric, but without a doubt, this would be the hardest story in the game. You're playing as the bad guy. It needs to reflect that. And this is also why I don't think that Scourge needs to be working with Eggman, because we still need things to fight in the story. So Eggman robots and gun soldiers or gun robots or whatever need to be equally in Scourge's path. But frankly, Scourge isn't a good guy. So Gun and Eggman can go as aggressive on him as they want to, and that's where the difficulty is going to come from. Just barrages of enemies that are going to be relentless, all in a speed level. So it's almost going to be like Sonic running through a bullet hell game. Imagine, you guys know what bullet hell games are. I don't have to explain that. So that's what Scourge's gameplay would be like, is Sonic the Hedgehog in a bullet hell game. And that's something that would be insane to master and would really show, I can play Sonic. Because there's only so many times you can play through Windy Valley and do it in under a minute and 30 seconds and be fulfilled by it. For me, I'm still fulfilled by it, but I'm not hard to please. I'm a Dragon Ball fan. So that aside, that's where we would be at in terms of gameplay, in terms of story, in terms of characters. I said earlier, remember I talked about Resident Evil, and this is why. I want this game to be rewarding. Aside from Sonic Generations, when it comes to unlockables, there is not a lot rewarding about Sonic games, and that is beyond a missed opportunity. You could collect emblems, collect all the emblems, beat all the missions, you get Metal Sonic, and it was just a fucking skin for Sonic. Or, there's other things that were unlockable. Sometimes you can unlock concept art or things like that. But in terms of, or in the original Sonic Adventure, DX, the one for GameCube, you could unlock the Sega Game Gear games. But these didn't feel worth it. Like when you play a Resident Evil game, it really rewards you based on how well you did. It rewards you with unlockable costumes for multiple costumes for every character. And the game that's done this the best, honestly, has been the fucking phone game Sonic Dash. You got Sonic as a knight, Sonic as a pirate, regular Sonic, movie Sonic, classic Sonic, fucking Halloween costume Sonic, whatever. But wouldn't that would be great to be able to be like, hey, I've been playing through the game as modern Sonic, but I've unlocked this skin, and now I'm going to play through the level as classic Sonic. And this would carry over in the in-game cutscenes. Any CG cutscenes, maybe not, because that'd be way too much work. So would not. But in-game cutscenes, they would still be wearing their outfits. And you could do this for pretty much all the characters. I can't really think of any for Scourge because I don't know about too many of his outfits off the bat. But there are alternate outfits for pretty much every Sonic character. And if Sega can't come up with something, fucking DeviantArt has, I'm sure. Just, there's certain parts of DeviantArt Sonic absolutely stay away from. But I'm pretty sure that really covers it. I mean, like I said, Chow Garden, but don't fix when I'm broken. You give us some new Chows, new abilities. But really, just a bigger, more advanced Chow Garden is it speaks for fucking self. And that's all you really need from Sonic Adventure 3 is the formula that we have, obviously more polished, 8 characters, an overarching story, an end battle with Super Sonic, Super Shadow, Super Silver, maybe even while a Super Scourge tries to fuck with you and, you know, the main enemy at the same time. Not really quite sure how that would be done, because, you know, male hedgehogs can go super. You could just have this over-the-top, child-friendly but still threatening game. No one's going to look back on Sonic Adventure 2 and be like, my kid can't play that. Like, look, at one point, Eggman does hold a gun to Amy. Maria's a 12-year-old girl. She gets fucking shot. But you don't see it. It's, you know, it's off-screen. It's audible. It's very much still, look, you're 8 years old. It's a fucking Sonic game. You can play it. Sonic nowadays is so silly and comical and not threatening. And there's always been a bit of comic to Sonic the Hedgehog. Like, that's always been there. But not to the degree that it is now. Sonic nowadays is written like they're trying to entertain 4 and 5-year-olds. And that's fine. If that's how you want to write, but that's, I don't think, what the majority of Sonic fans want to buy, because Sonic is, you know, this is his 30th anniversary, or I think this year is his 31st anniversary, actually. So you have a core fan base that's grown up. You can cater to both. You can make something that's still applicable for an 8-year-old to play, that everyone up to 30 or 40 can still enjoy, because it's got edge to it, with the stakes being high, but it's not edgy like Shadow the Hedgehog, and it's not fucking dumb like, you know, Sonic. I was gonna say Sonic Unleashed, but Sonic Unleashed was actually kind of cool. But it's not dumb like Sonic Lost World or Sonic. It's the most fucking recent one, Forces. Don't get me wrong, I'm looking forward to Frontiers. I think Frontiers will be a great entry into the series. I really hope, at least. But many fans have wanted Sonic Adventure 3. And at this point, I think it's a crime that Sega hasn't given it to us yet. Like an actual crime. I know we're all worried about Russia and Ukraine and shit, but frankly, we need to fucking invade Japan again, because clearly Japan's messing around if they can't even get out their ass and make Sonic Adventure 3. But anyway, that's my opinions. I know this is a long rant, a long video, but yeah, just let me know how you feel in the comments below. If you want to see Sonic Adventure 3, let me know. If you think it's a bad idea, don't let me know. I'll fight you. And, yeah, gotta go fast!